Right, so I'm Jason Collier. I am the CTO and one of the founders here at a company called Scale Computing. And what I want to talk to you guys about today is kind of a who is Scale Computing, a little bit of our history, kind of where we've come from and where we're headed, and all the good stuff. So anyway, we are headquartered in the technology capital of the world, Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, we are actually, we are based out here in San Mateo, California too. So all of our development stuff goes on out here in San Mateo, California, and that's basically where we are today. We also have an international presence. We've got presence in Canada, the UK, France, Dubai, and there are other parts of Europe. We're actually just going into Italy as well. We actually started the company back in 2007. We started shipping our first products back in 2009. And really, it was a couple of years ago. It was actually in 2012 that about halfway through 2012, we started shipping our hyperconverged solutions. So hyperconvergence, we combine servers, storage, and virtualization all into basically this single appliantized form factor. And since we started shipping, we have over 850 clusters actually deployed out in the field in that, not quite 2 years since we've been shipping the product. Now, another thing to point out, kind of one of the things that's in our DNA is, me and the rest of the founding crew at the company, we really come from kind of what you would think of as like SMB and mid-market companies. We really wanted to start Scale, and we wanted to basically kind of change this, way of doing data center infrastructure based on what our experiences were with it before. So we were always these, kind of SMB and mid-market guys, and really wanted to build infrastructure components that we wanted to use. And it came out of some pretty, interesting components. And, some of those are, we actually did some R&D projects in, kind of high-performance computing. Now, you don't think of that as B&H, basically being like an SMB or mid-market play. But there were some pretty interesting technologies that actually came out of that we thought if we could actually wrap those up into basically something that could be used by an SMB or mid-market company, then it's a pretty compelling play because it's a different way of doing things. And really one of our kind of the core tenets that we really strive for is simplicity in everything that we do. We want basically the interactions with Scale. We want the user interface to the products. We want basically the interactions, like I said, with the company and with our channel partners who sell it to be as easy as possible. So we really want to give this kind of, almost this kind of Apple-esque feel, like when you're dealing with us, it's kind of just a simple, easy solution. And so some of the things we're going to talk about today. We've got our chief architect, Phil White, who is going to be going into a pretty deep technology overview. This component, I'm going to keep it pretty short, but we actually have something that most people don't know about Scale is we actually have 22 technology patents wrapped up into what you would think of as complex, cluster management systems, orchestration layers, and also back-end storage technologies. And that's really kind of what drives the simplicity component. We've been actually facing a bit of an innovator's dilemma lately where our products are so simple that people assume that there's not that much underneath the hood. But when you actually get in there and look at the technology, it takes a lot of complexity to make something extremely simple. And that's one of the things that we're going to show you guys today. Now, one of the other components of really what we do, once again, we are mid-market focused. We do not sell to the Fortune 500. We don't sell to enterprise. Our products are not geared, they're not designed to basically be these big hyperscale systems that go into large enterprise or go into big scale out data centers. These are designed to be used by what you would think of as the mid-market companies. And now there are different ways that we can actually look at that. A majority of our customers do fit into a profile of what does the IT department look like? It's not always how many employees are in the organization. It can be, it really comes down to what does that IT department look like? And it's usually there's 0 to 5 IT guys, in the IT department, and they have to usually manage everything. Everything from help desk, fixing the Exchange server, making sure the network switching is working, making sure the CEO can get his email. All of those components, that's basically what the IT guys that we target. So nobody's an expert. Nobody's a siloed expert. There's never like, there's rarely an area where there's, say, here's a team of SAN experts, a team of server experts, a team of virtualization experts. It's usually the guys that are the IT generalists and have too much on their plate to really focus on any particular one area of the business. And what those guys really want is, to make their applications highly available. They want to make sure their mail server never goes down. They want to make sure, basically their vertical dependent apps always stay up. So it's like if it's manufacturing, make sure their MRP or ERP systems are up. If it's healthcare, make sure, that it's really about the high availability for those guys. But like I said, they don't have the time or effort to go through and manage the complexities of that style of infrastructure. So some of those key design features are, we make it easy to use out of the box. So literally you get a box of our stuff, and you start off with 3 nodes in a cluster. To rack and stack those, get them initially configured to the time you're deploying your first virtual machine on the system is under an hour. And most of that time is racking and stacking and cabling. We, like I said, we completely integrate all the components of server storage and networking. And really, I mean, what we want to do is we really want to provide that out-of-box experience. And, a lot of people ask too, like, why do you do appliance? Why don't you just do software? And it's really about the user experience component. We want you to take it out and we want you to plug it in and have it actually up and functional, not something where you got to throw a CD in, configure the hardware a specific way. We just want you to plug it in and use it. So I want to talk about some of the actual kind of recent customer wins, and basically once again going back into the whole focus of mid-market. There's not a lot of big guys in here. I mean, there are some names that you would recognize, but a majority of these really fit into it's the smaller IT shops, and they typically don't have the resources to manage, and then there's also kind of budgetary constraints.
I like that NATO's a smaller IT shop.
Yeah.
It actually is. It's not big.
Well,
It's like, and when we do go into some of those bigger organizations, like Safran's a prime example. Safran's a huge aerospace conglomerate, but we're basically in the Safran Power Group, which used to be Goodrich Engineering. So they were acquired, so they were a division that was acquired into a bigger one. And now one of the interesting things is now it's kind of spreading throughout the bigger organization. So one of the interesting things that we've seen in some of the bigger locations that we've been in, it's going in at a departmental level, but then basically the ease of use of this has basically evolved it into being adapted into other departments in some of those bigger organizations. So a little bit, I'm going to talk about this for a second, and then actually, my part of the presentation will be done after this, so we can start getting to the good stuff.
can I ask a quick question?
Yes, absolutely.
So you said you're mid-market targeted.
Yes.
But is there anything that would stop you being applied to enterprise markets?
We find ourselves being pulled up there occasionally. I mean, one of the, yet another, kind of one in that, we actually just recently won a deal with like Oxford Uni. So, it starts out, for us it's been, and the thing is we don't target it. None of our marketing targets it. Really our sales team isn't necessarily targeting it, but we are getting, people are starting to see us and they're coming to us saying, hey, this would be interesting in this. And really from that, the departmental area, it's a good fit. Reality is, from a technology perspective, is there any reason we can't do it? No. For us, it's an execution play.
Right.
So
if you're a bigger company, that wouldn't be if you'd grown and were big enough, that would be,
yeah.
It would be perfect.
If it meets the needs of the customer, the one thing that we don't want to have happen is basically unhappy customers. And we really actually pride ourselves on the tech support. Dave's going to talk about it, a little bit later, but our net promoter score in support, I mean, this last quarter, I think we were at 74 was our net promoter score, which anything above 50 in net promoter score is classified as world-class support. And we're killing it. I mean, we're higher than basically Apple's tech support marks and most of the other guys that are in basically any type of enterprise IT. I mean, we really pride ourselves on that. But if we see a customer that's enterprise where the product is not a good fit, I will not sell you my product. It's because the last thing in the world I want is an unhappy customer. So the problems that we're trying to solve for the smaller mid-market guys are. This is what that standard virtualization component looks like, right? Here's your shared storage component down here, the networking to connect everything up. You've got basically the layer of virtual servers, be it like Hyper-V, VMwares, and name your hypervisor stack and put it up there. This is really what we kind of battle more every day is the person that's going typically from, say, I've got a single server doing virtualization or multiple servers doing virtualization, and I want to grow and expand that out. And then what happens, though, is then a lot of complexity to get the features that they want, like high availability components, the ability to move virtual machines from physical hosts to other physical hosts. You start needing all this shared storage components, and it starts getting complex really quick. So for that guy who's, like I said, not the SAN expert, not the network expert, not a virtualization expert. What we want to do, and the thing they care about is, are my virtual machines up and running? Is my infrastructure, is my mail server up, is my ERP system up? This is where those guys want to focus. They want to focus on the apps that make their business make money. But when they have to focus on all the plumbing, then it basically kind of dilutes the message. One of the things that I like to say, and when you're comparing kind of this whole hyperconverged methodology versus the standard way of doing virtualization in SMB and mid-market, is there are many ways you can get a car. Well, you can go out, you can buy an engine, a transmission, put some wheels on it, get a book, learn how to put it all together, and that's what this is, right? It's learning all those components. Or you can just go to the local car dealer and go to the Toyota dealer and buy yourself a Toyota Camry, right? Okay, so that's what the experience that we're wanting to offer. So we actually collapse all that stack down to the point where it looks like the VMs are running on top of the storage, and then this is effectively what the products look like. So you can start out with 3 nodes in a cluster, and then you can effectively grow it and scale it out past that. So that said, that's pretty much the overview. Did anybody have any questions? I mean, once again, it's kind of designed to be simple, right? So it's not an extremely complex message, but.
So how many nodes can you scale up to in a cluster?
Today we do 8. We have future plans to extend that to 16. The only real reason that it's limited to 8 right now, and we actually do have situations where we scale it past that, it's really just tested use case for us. I mean, I don't know if you've seen our lab back there, but reality is to get it into our integrated testing platform and do the level of testing that we want to do with it, I mean, we need more hardware for it. Yep. That's the primary limiting factor, but it's also very market driven for us. When we're focusing on those mid-market guys, like going to 16, I mean, you're going to have a system that can do in the like 1,000 virtual machine range. So.
Well, but why would you need that if the mid-market isn't going to have that?
Exactly.
Right.
The most you're
that's
gonna
the
have,
point.
Yeah,
Yes.
the most you're going to have probably is 16, maybe the max.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've got.
Have to grow, and they've been actually most of them have been perfectly happy. What we say is you can do up to 8 even without our involvement. If you want to go beyond 8, let's sit down and look at your use case, your infrastructure. We do have larger clusters out there, and later this year we'll actually be kind of even increasing the recommended limit substantially as well.
And some companies grow more than they expect to. They think, oh, we're never going to need more than 100 VMs. And then suddenly one big customer, Microsoft comes along, a 3-letter agency comes along, and suddenly they have to hire another 500 people or...
We see it a lot with these mid-market companies that acquire other companies.
Yeah.
Right, and that's where you see that big. It's like, oh, hey, these 2 companies decide to merge, and now your infrastructure just doubled. So that's where we've seen that.
Okay.
So yeah, with that.
And it's 32 gig of memory per node, right?
Okay. Well, Dave will talk a little bit about that, but here's the thing. We have 3 different models of nodes now. One is 32 gig per. We've got a step up from that that's 64 gig, and we have a step up from that that's 128.
Okay.
So we do have, and Dave will go kind of into those, yeah.
What's the entry price point roughly
Entry price point is 25,500 MSRP US dollars.
for a 3-node cluster?
3-node cluster.
3-node cluster, everything in, that's your storage, your software, everything you need.
And includes a year of premium support. And by the way, we only offer premium support 24/7, 365.
Really?
Yep.
25.
Yep.
Interesting number.
That's the compelling price point, right?
Yeah.
That's list.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I'm like.
yeah.
What nodes are those?
I'm thinking
32
budgets
gig?
in my head.
Those are 32 gig per.
Bring some monkey shoulder in, you know, you can get that price down there.
We can definitely get it under the
What-
$24,999 PO
Yes.
limit for your signature.
We can talk about that.
Jason, maybe I missed it. What hypervisors are you?
Okay, so we'll go into
is that
that.
gonna- yeah,
we'll
that's
go
fine.
into that in the architecture. But
Okay.
one thing I will tell you, we're a bit different in the way that we do stuff. And one, like we are not AVSA at all. The storage layer runs underneath any of the hypervisor stuff. So we are not beholden to the hypervisor. The hypervisor is beholden to us. That said, we use KVM as our hypervisor, but you don't see it. And I'll go ahead with that. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dave, and we'll let him take it from here.
Right.
And then yeah. So one of the things that Dave's going to talk about is also a product demo. So it'll give you a good chance to actually see it.